Magic the Gathering is a game that features a vast and continuous multiverse of stories set across countless planes that incorporates numerous themes. One of those themes is horror. With the beginning of October, so begins our countdown to Halloween. 30 days, 30 decks, 30 different creatures of the night, all culminating with a special 31st episode on Halloween Day itself. For those of you with a profound fascination of the macabre, I invite you to join me on this venture through 30 days of night. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm MTG Budget Brew, and welcome to day 28 of our 30 days of night. The MTG Wiki describes today's creatures as a primarily red creature type used for cards that depict atrociously wicked, cruel, or ill-tempered evil spirits having the power to inflict bodily harm and spiritual corruption. Today, we're going to make a deal with some devils. The creature that I built today's deck around was Zerzoth Chaos Rider. It is 2 and a red for a 2/3 devil that says, whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, you create a 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this token dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. And whenever one or more devils you control attack one or more players, you and those players each draw a card, then discard a card at random. We're going to do our best to capitalize on that random discard effect that Zerzoth has. And that can be seen in the 4th rare that we are running in today's deck, Voldaren Pariah. It is 3 and 2 black for a 3/3 vampire horror with flying that says sacrifice 3 other creatures, transform this creature, and it has a madness cost of 3 black mana. Madness says if you discard this card, discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its madness cost or put it into your graveyard. So yeah, for this deck, we are running a bunch of madness/mayhem cards, so that way we can cast spells at a discounted cost thanks to Zerzoth's triggered ability. Now, Voldaren Pariah, when it transforms, it becomes Abolisher of Bloodlines, a 6/5 flying Eldrazi vampire that says when this creature transforms into Abolisher of Bloodlines, target opponent sacrifices 3 creatures of their choice. The other madness/mayhem cards that we're running in today's deck include 2 copies of Kivni Orb Weaver, 4 copies of Alms of the Vein, 2 copies of whatever this is, Midnight Hunter, 4 copies of Fiery Temper, 4 copies of Kitchen Imp, and lastly 2 copies of Terminal Agony. Yeah, in case you didn't know, with the release of the Spider-Man set/Omen Path for Arena, the Madness keyword kind of got updated/replaced with a new keyword, Mayhem. Madness was a weird keyword because Madness says when you discard the card, you may cast it. And that's weird because it ignores timing rules. A card like Terminal Agony, if we discard it to Zerzoth's effect, which happens when we attack with a devil, so during combat, we'd be able to cast a sorcery at instant speed. And same is true even for like a creature like Kitchen Imp. We'll be able to cast this at instant speed. And it's a little bit weird. And it's really not the most intuitive effect, but Mayhem looks to solve that problem. If we take a look at the reminder text for Mayhem, it says, you may cast this card from your graveyard if you discarded it this turn. Timing rules still apply. So if we were to discard something like Kivni during combat to Zerzoth's triggered ability, we would have to wait until our second main phase to be able to cast Kivni for its Mayhem cost, which really it makes a lot more sense. And I think it's a good update/change. Anyway, up next, we have a few more devils for the deck. We have 4 copies of Footlight Fiend, as well as a full playset of Rakdos Headliner. This card works twofold for our deck. It is not only a devil, which can be used to trigger Zerzoth's ability, but this card has Echo. Echo says, at the beginning of your upkeep, if this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay its Echo cost, and the Echo cost for this card is discard a card. And that just gives us a free discard outlet for any of our Madness/Mayhem cards. And speaking of discard outlets, we are also running 4 copies of Bone Shards as a way to discard a card for 1 black mana. And we're also running a full playset of Voldaren Epicure because when it enters, we get to create a blood token. And blood tokens are just another cheap discard outlet. Yeah, this card is actually the one that really brought this deck together. I was running Faithless Looting before this, which seems like it should fit in the deck perfectly, but it always felt a little bit off to me. But Voldaren Epicure and the blood token, it feels really good. Finally, for our mana base, we're running 9 swamps, 9 mountains, and 4 copies of Foreboding Ruins for a total of 22 lands. Because if the deck is working properly, we should be casting cards for their Madness/Mayhem costs, which means we should be casting our spells at a discount, which means our curve really should be lower than what is even represented here. And because of that, we only need to run 22 lands. With all that said, let's hop into some matches and see what this deck can do. Alright, here we are in game number 1, and our opening hand looks pretty decent. We got turn 1 Footlight Fiend, which isn't too shabby. So for our turn 1, I'm just going to play out the Footlight Fiend. And I don't love that our opponent started with an Esper Sentinel already. It's a pretty strong turn 1. I think for this turn, we're just going to swing in with our Fiend. Our opponent takes the damage, which is what I expected. They go down to 17. Our opponent plays out Hardened Scales. They swing for 1, set us to 19. Hardened Scales, that's interesting. I was going to say that I don't normally see Esper Sentinel paired with +1/+1 counter decks, but the synergy between the two does work out pretty nicely. So this turn, we have enough mana to cast Zerzoth, but I'm going to cast him during our second main phase. I'm going to swing in for 1, set our opponent to 16. Then I'm going to play out Zerzoth, because if I had played it before combat, we would have triggered him and we would have had to discard a card, but we wouldn't have had any more mana to pay into a madness cost. So it would have felt pretty wasteful. Luckily, our opponent plays out a second creature, and this is what I was really waiting for. They play out a Luis Pompous Pillager. So that way I could cast Bone Shards, sacrificing a creature, our Footlight Fiend. And so that way the Footlight Fiend can kill the Esper Sentinel. And we still have plenty of mana left over to pay into the Esper Sentinel ability cost. Kill that off. Luis will die. I'm going to go to combat. We're going to swing with Zerzoth. That will trigger it. We get to draw a card. Then we're going to discard a card at random. Nice. We discard Alm of the Veins, which is one of our madness cards. We're going to be able to cast that for a single black. Our opponent loses 3 life, we gain 3 life, and we get a Devil. With our last remaining mana, we're going to play out a Voldaren Epicure and pass, setting our opponent down to 12 already. That's pretty good. The deck is feeling solid. You know, it's doing all the right things. Our opponent plays out a second copy of Hardened Scales, and they play a Sinkhole Surveyor. 2 mana, 1/3 Bird Scout. Flying, whenever this creature attacks, you lose 1 life, and this creature endures 1. So from here, we have a lot of options. I'm going to tap a red. I'm going to activate our blood token. I'm going to discard Terminal Agony. I'm going to use this to destroy their blocker. That will die. We get to draw a card from the blood token. Nice. We're now going to swing out. That will trigger Zerzoth. And every card in our hand had Madness or Mayhem. And we discard the Kitchen Imp. So we're going to be able to cast this. We then go to damage. Our opponent takes 4. They go down to 8. Nice. Yeah, we're looking real good right now. Our opponent played out Hollow Merc Siege, and they use Persist to bring back their Surveyor. Well, this is fun. I could play out the Voldaren Pariah, but we don't need to. So we're just going to go to combat. We're going to swing out. We trigger Zerzoth. Unfortunately, we discard the Pariah, which we can't actually cast because we don't have triple black. We only have 2, so I have to decline. That is unlucky. That was the only card in our hand that we could not cast for its madness cost. So we go to blockers. They're going to block Zerzoth with their Surveyor. We go to damage. We're going to end up dealing 5, setting our opponent down to 3, and then we're just going to hard cast Fiery Temper to deal 3 damage to any target. And that is good game. All right. That was a good game 1, and that is how the deck should perform. Nice. I'm really glad that we got Zerzoth to show off in the very first game. Nice. Good game 1. All right, here we are in game number 2, and our opening hand looks beautiful. We're going to start with a turn 1 Footlight Fiend. For turn 2, we're just going to play out another Footlight Fiend. We have enough mana for Kivney or Weaver, but Kivney says when it enters, you may discard a card. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on him. So this is a free discard outlet. So if we want to make use of that, we got to wait until turn 3. So we have enough mana to pay for the madness cost of one of our other cards. Like right now, I'm going to play out Kivney Orb Weaver on ETB. We will go to discard the Alms of the Vein. We'll pay the madness cost. We'll have our opponent lose 3 life. We will gain 3 life, and Kivney got that +1/+1 counter. We're then going to go to combat, swing in for 2, and our opponent is going to stomp on our Kivney. It's all right. Opponent takes 2, they go down to 14. They then play out their Bone Crusher Giant. I think I'm just going to hard cast the Fiery Temper to kill the Bone Crusher. I don't love it, but I think it's the best play we have. We're then going to swing in with our 2 Footlights, set our opponent down to 12. I really didn't love doing that. Oh, they're a full giant deck. They just played out Tectonic Giant. 4 mana, 3/4. Whenever this creature attacks or becomes target of a spell, an opponent controls, choose 1. This creature deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile top 2 cards of your library. Choose 1 of them until the end of your next turn. You may play that card. Okay, I think from here, I'm just going to play out the Zerzoth, and I'm going to say no attacks. I really want to cast this Terminal Agony off of Zerzoth's triggered ability, but our opponent wipes the board, so that sucks. He's dealt 4 damage to each non-giant creature, and we go down to 15. Well, we're just gonna hard cast the Terminal Agony. That's gonna trigger his Giant's ability. He's gonna exile top 2 cards of his library. He exiles a Glimpse of the Cosmos, which he can now cast, and he's going to scry 3 off of his Battle of Frost and Fire. I don't think we're going to win this game, if I'm being honest. Our opponent plays out a Crystalline Giant. We top deck Alms of the Veins. That gets us a little bit closer to not dying. We set our opponent down to 7, and we're up to 18. We have no gas in hand whatsoever. We're just top decking. I think it's literally impossible for us to be able to kill him before we die. Like I was about to say, even if we top deck burn for the next 2 turns, it's not enough. We top deck a Fiery Temper here. If I send it face, it sets our opponent down to 4, but now we have no blocker. We're taking 2 damage from his Quake Bringer. He swings in 8 more here. He gained 3 life. And yeah, that's just game over. We lost to Giants. Yeah, that board wipe was unfortunate. We didn't get any value off of our Zerzoth. All right, here we are in game number 3. We are going first. And we have 2 Rakdos Headliners in our opening hand. I love that. This is a 3/3 with haste. That is a very aggressive stat line. And going first, perfect. All right, turn 1, we're going to start with a Footlight Fiend. Yeah, if we're lucky, we're going to top deck a Madness or Mayhem card in preparation for our 3rd upkeep. If not, we'll just discard a card to the Echo cost for Rakdos Headliner. All right, our opponent played a Gutter Bones. So we are just going to play out our Rakdos Headliner. Swing in for 4. Set our opponent down to 16. They then play out an Orzhov Enforcer. Okay. As Death Touch, which I do not love. For the Headliner's Echo cost, we are going to discard this Midnight Hunter. We can now play this out. And I think I want to Bone Shards, choosing to sacrifice a creature. I'll Bone Shards the Orzhov Enforcer because it has Death Touch. I'll sacrifice a Footlight Fiend. When the Fiend dies, we'll get to ping his Gutter Bones. Then the Enforcer dies, it has Afterlife 1, so they get a 1/1 Spirit token with flying. And that's perfectly fine. We're going to play out another Footlight Fiend. We go to combat, we swing our 3/3. They probably just chump with the Spirit here. Or they don't, and they take the 3, they go down to 13. That also works for me. They play out another Orzhov Enforcer. That one's a little bit annoying. So we're just going to play out the last card that we have in hand, another Rakdos Headliner. And we're going to swing out. He blocks our new Rakdos Headliner. I don't know if that's good or bad for us. By blocking the new one, we're not going to have to pay the Echo cost at our upkeep. But yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad for us. I don't know if that matters really. We have 4 mana. We can pretty much cast anything in our deck. Literally anything except for Voldaren Pariah. They play a Lazotep Reaver. It has a mass 1. They get a 1/1 token. We top deck a Swamp. Don't love that. We go to combat. Swing with both of our creatures. They triple block our Rakdos Headliner. We connect for 2 more in the air. We set our opponent down to 5. If this Midnight Hunter can survive 1 more turn, we'd be in a really great spot. And that is a Spawn of Mayhem. That is a flying blocker. We may struggle to close out this game. Say no attacks. This deals damage to our opponent. At the beginning of your upkeep, this creature deals 1 damage to each player. Then if you have 10 or less life, put +1/+1 counter on this creature. Oh, dude, this Spawn of Mayhem? It might help us win this game. We have a lot of ways to deal 3 damage. Our full playset of Alms of the Veins and Fiery Temper. This Spawn of Mayhem is going to set them down to 3, literally on this next turn. We top deck another land, which is horrible. I'll say no attacks. Spawn of Mayhem sets them down to 3. They set us down to 17. Yeah, we just need to top deck something good. And we have a lot of good top decks. Our opponent just cast 2 Drill Bits, which says target player reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it, that player discards that card. That's funny. They swing their Orzhov Enforcer and Gutter Bones at us. I'll say no blocks. We take 3, we go down to 14. And that's a good game. We top deck the Fiery Temper for lethal. That's what I'm talking about. That was good. That one felt good. All right, here we are in another match, and our opening hand looks terrible. So we are going to mulligan. This opening hand looks very similar, but it is better because we have double Swamp instead of double Mountain. We're going to keep 6. I'm going to throw back a Fiery Temper, I think. The reason the first hand looked bad was because it had double Mountain, which meant that I would not be able to cast Bone Shards and use its additional cost of discarding a card to then cast Kitchen Imp for its Madness cost. But with double Swamps, we can't do that. But turn 1, we're going to start with a Voldaren Epicure anyway. Our opponent going to cut this down? They do. They immediately cut down the Voldaren Epicure. They still take 1 damage, and we still get a blood token, though. Do me a favor, play a creature. The Ancient One, that's a creature. I believe it is not indestructible. It is not. So I'm going to do that play. Oh no, I can't do that play I was just talking about. We don't have double black right now. That's fine. I'm gonna activate the blood token. I'm gonna discard the Kitchen Imp. We'll then still be able to cast this for its Madness cost, and we'll get to draw a card off the blood token and swing in for 2 in the air. The Ancient One is an 8/8. It has Descend 8. Can't attack or block unless there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. They can pay 4 mana, draw a card, then discard a card. When you discard a card this way, target player mills cards equal to its mana value. So we've got time. Our opponent passes with 2 blue mana up. Very suspicious. I'm going to go to combat. They take 2. They go down to 15. I will try to cast Kivni. It looks like they are going to counter it. It does not get countered. So on the ETB, we will discard an Alms of the Vein. We'll pay for its Madness cost. See if this resolves. It does. Our opponent loses 3. We gain 3. And Kivni enters with a +1/+1 counter. Interesting. They kept holding priority, but they didn't do anything with it. They go to their second main phase, they cast Damnation, they wipe the board. How very lame. So for our turn, we're just going to hard cast a Kitchen Imp and swing in for 2. Set our opponent down to 10. We still have a Bone Shards in hand to destroy any blocker that they may play out. And we have an Alms of the Veins that we can cast as the additional cost to the Bone Shards. I will go to combat, swing 2, and just end the turn. Our opponent plays out a Laboratory Maniac, 3-mana 2/2. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. They're going to shoot the Sheriff. They're going to destroy our Imp. Do I have enough mana? 1, 2, I think we do, right? I'm going to hard cast 1 Alms of the Vein, make our opponent lose 3, we gain 3. I'm then going to Bone Shards, killing their Laboratory Maniac. I'm going to discard the Alms of the Veins, and we have enough mana to pay for its madness cost. We're going to set our opponent down to 2 life. We're going to gain 3 more. We're up to 29, and we destroy the only creature they have. All right, we have a lot of outs that can deal 2 damage. If he has no blockers, Kitchen Imp can get in for 2 with haste. Rakdos Headliner, those are 3/3s with haste. We have 1 more Alms of the Vein, and then we have a full playset of Fiery Temper. All of those are outs, but we drew into a Terminal Agony, and that does not help us. And our opponent has a Jace, Wielder of Mysteries out now. They have 43 cards left in their library. They're trying to win through Self-Mill. Yep, they're going to cast Glimpse the Unthinkable on themselves. They're now down to 33 cards in their library, down to 30. We need 2 damage. We are so close. They're going to play out Laboratory Maniac. Footlight Fiend gets us 1 point of damage closer. I could cast Terminal Agony to kill the Laboratory Maniac. I don't think it actually matters, though. I'm just going to pass, because it has the same effect that Jace does. Both say if you would draw while you have no cards, you win the game. So destroying the 2/2 I don't actually think matters. If they play something else, though, like this thing, I may want to kill it. They're swinging their 2/2 at us. I am going to block with Footlight Fiend. We'll get to send that 1 point of damage to our opponent's face. We set them down to 1. If we top deck another Footlight Fiend, we could just kill our own Fiend with a Terminal Agony. And then that's another lethal out that we have. Our opponent's down to 26 cards in their library. Well, darn Epicure, that was another out now. If this sticks, of course. If they have a counterspell for it, then I cry deeply and sadly. They have the counterspell for it. Oh my god. All right, we're gonna pass. That sucks. I should have tried baiting it with Terminal Agony. I don't know that they would have counterspelled it, but they might have. I hate myself. I should have looked at his graveyard. Looking at his graveyard wouldn't have helped me anyway. There's no counterspells in his graveyard. So it would have given me literally 0 extra information. Bro, did we just get countered by his 1 of counterspell? That is so lame. He's down to 12 cards in his library. This next top deck, this is it. I'm gonna say good game. That is not lethal. I could have baited his 2 of counterspell. Unless the last 2 are in the bottom 12 of his library. That's crazy. Should just be game, right? Okay. His library is empty. Does he have a way to draw a card? Oh yeah. The plus on Jace. Dang, dude. That was a really close game, but we are just 1 point of damage short. And that's disappointing. We did see his second counterspell, so there's a chance, even if I did try baiting out the Terminal Agony and he did counterspell it, he may have just been able to counterspell the Voldaren Epicure after that anyway. I don't know how much untapped mana he had for that turn, and I don't know if he had the second counterspell in hand at that time or not. But that was a really close game, like super close. That was a good match. All right, here we are in another game, and we have a hand that we can keep. It's pretty slow, but we have access to both colors of mana, and we do have a turn 1 creature, so we might as well keep it, give this game a shot. We're gonna start with a turn 1 Footlight Fiend and pass. Ooh, our opponent casts Rouse Reinforcements that create 2 1/1 blue and red elemental creature tokens. I will say no attacks. If they swing at us, we can clear his board. Plays a Mossborn Hydra. Can I kill the Hydra? I don't have another red mana for Fiery Temper. Okay, our opponent is going to let us kill the Hydra. I love that. We're gonna block one of his 1/1s. When the Fiend dies, we'll target the Hydra. And I will say nice. I will rub it in. Since we have nothing to do with all our mana, I'm just gonna cast Alms of the Vein. Make our opponent lose 3 life, we'll gain 3 life. Next turn we have 4 mana. We can just hard cast Terminal Agony if he has another Hydra. Oh, interesting. He just played Master of Waves, 4 mana 2/1, Protection from Red. It says elemental creatures you control get +1/+1. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/0 blue elemental creature tokens equal to your devotion of blue. Yo, that card is super cool. And it's also something that we cannot kill because our removal has red. So we're gonna start with a Voldaren Epicure. It's gonna make us a blood token. And we pass. This is really exciting. Next turn, we can cast Voldaren Pariah for its madness cost. And our opponent's gonna have to sacrifice 3 of the creatures that they have. It's going to be really exciting. If our opponent's really greedy, they'll swing with both of their creatures. They're swinging completely out. Love that. So we're going to block this 3/1 elemental with our Voldaren Epicure. Go to damage. We take 5. We're down to 15. It's our turn. Oh my god. He has 2 mana up, and I'm really scared of a counterspell. Do I wait a turn? Can I afford to wait a turn? I'm really scared. I'm going to try and see if he has a counterspell. Yeah, we can take the damage. So I'll tap a black mana, activate our blood token. We're going to discard Fiery Temper. We're going to cast it for its madness cost using our 1 red land. We're going to try to kill this Creeping Trailblazer. We're going to deal 3 damage. It does die. Our opponent does not have a counterspell. And then we pass. They play out Phylit, the World Sculptor. Now we lose the game. I can kill that with Terminal Agony. I have a way to discard. No. All right, we have to kill this with Terminal Agony. So that way he can't put +1/+1 counters on all these plans. Don't have a second one. Creeping Trailblazer. Okay. The problem with him having this many tokens is that our Voldaren Pariah does not do anything anymore. When it enters, our opponent will have to sacrifice 3 creatures, but they just make it 3 of their tokens. And we have taken way too much damage now. We die. Damn, that really sucks. I was really excited for the Pariah to pop off, but we still would have been in a very similar situation. Because if we had cast the Pariah, his Master of Waves, his token, and his Creeping Trailblazer would have been sacrificed, but then he still just plays out the Phylit anyway. I don't think anything gets us out of this. Play out the Voldaren Epicure, use the blood token. I'll sacrifice, or I'll discard, I don't know, I guess the Pariah. See if we can draw into anything useful. We do not. Not lethal yet. Is that lethal? No, but we go down to 1. All right, that's a good game. Dang. Well, you know what? Joke's on him. I can hardcast Kitchen Imp, go to combat, deal 2 damage to his face, set him down to 13. Got him. All right. We'll just scoop. That was cool. Did I have fun in the match? It was all right. Could have been worse. This Master of Waves is neat, though. Yeah, it's one of like only 3 Lord cards for elementals. There's Master of Waves, Creeping Trailblazer, and then there's also Kahira, which says each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1/+1 and has vigilance. And that is a companion card. And it says each creature card in your starting deck is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast card. So really, I think he should be running, he should be running Kahira as his companion. This is cool though. I'm gonna have to steal this guy's deck. Yeah, that's a really cool one. All right, good game 5. All right, here we are on my Untapped account. If we take a look at the stats for this deck, I'm currently 8-7. That is a 53% win rate. Not amazing, but it is still positive. Do I recommend building this deck? I think most of the deck is fine. The problem with Zerzoth is the fact that it is a random discard. He isn't called Chaos Rider for no reason. So if you can manipulate your hand in a way where you do get value off of your discard, it feels really good. It's a nice swing of tempo in your favor. However, if you discard something like a land that you wanted to play for next turn, you're not getting any value, and now you might be down a removal spell or a land that you needed. Voldaren Pariah is okay. Triple black with a budget mana base isn't the easiest thing to accomplish, but the rest of the deck I think is fine. Yeah, I built this deck really to be a devil deck, right? But if I was going to build a Rakdos discard deck, Zerzoth definitely would not make it into the deck list. And Pariah is also very unlikely as well. So I'm going to vote no. Don't copy this deck list, don't make it. You're gonna go Rakdos discard. There are better rares that you can build your deck around. Yeah, because like as soon as I remove Zerzoth from the deck, then I'm probably also cutting Footlight Fiend. It's only in here really because it's a devil. But that's alright, I had fun playing with the deck. So with that said, if you liked this video, you should like the video. If you liked me, the video, and you like Magic the Gathering, you should consider subscribing to the channel because that will get you more of all 3. And thank you guys once again for joining me on day 28 of our 30 days of night. I hope to see you tomorrow.